The darkness outside the drop pod was so absolute it pressed against the glass like a living thing. Captain Joel Mercer's hands trembled as he struggled to override the failing controls. Blue warning lights strobing across his visor. Atmospheric. Entry had torn half the hull away. Shouldn't be alive, but the survival pod had held, barely. It's throwing him into the unknown. The only thing he could see now was a single blinking, distress beacon on his cum-static-ridden. Alien, but unmistakably a cry for help. He was supposed to wait for rescue. That was protocol. Its last orders. Hold position. Maintain contact. Avoid contamination at all costs. But his gut, the same gut that had saved his squad 100 times, told him this world wasn't empty. Something out there was suffering. Something needed him. With a hiss, the hatch unlocked. Humid foreign air rushed in, thick with scents that didn't belong to any Earth catalog. Joel gritted his teeth, grabbed his battered pack, and stepped. Into the alien jungle, every sound was wrong. The trees glowed faint blue in the darkness, their leaves pulsing with veins of soft light. Branches twisted overhead, forming cathedral arches that seemed both beautiful and ominous. The ground pulsed, alive with tiny, luminous insects. Joel's boots left faint imprints that faded behind him. His cum crackled faint, almost drowned, by static. Then a voice. Soft, shaking, not quite human, but achingly close. Is anyone there? Joel froze. It was a child's voice, female, but the pitch. Something inhuman threaded through it, a strange musical resonance that made his heart clench. He raised the cum. This is Captain Mercer. I hear you. Are you hurt? Where are you? Silence. Then a sob. Small, terrified. Please. I'm alone. I need help, will you? Will you be my father? The words hit Joel like a punch. For a second, he saw his own daughter lost to him years ago, before he'd left for this endless war. His throat tightened. This couldn't be real. He followed the signal, pushing through thickets that seemed to draw back from his touch. The air shimmered with energy, and he felt eyes, hundreds of them watching from the dark. He pressed on, sweat stinging his eyes, driven by a need he didn't understand. The beacon grew stronger, the signal clearer. At the edge of a bioluminescent clearing, he found her, a child, curled beneath a tree. Her skin was pale lavender, hair shimmering with motes of light, eyes too big and too sad for this world. She looked up at him, trembling, clutching a broken piece of tekka, a fragment of something that once might have been a family. Her lips parted, that haunting voice. Again, barely more than a whisper. Please, don't leave me. Joel's armor felt heavier than ever. He knelt, slowly, not wanting to scare her. I won't, he said, voice cracking, despite his training. You're safe now, I promise. But even as the words left his lips, something shifted in the jungle behind him, a low, predatory rumble, hungry and close. Joel knew then, saving her was only the beginning. Joel barely had time to register the threat before the jungle behind him erupted in motion. The trees parted, throwing wild, twisting shadows across the clearing. He instinctively threw himself between the girl and the oncoming shape, pulse racing, mind running through every combat drill he'd ever known. The creature was massive-spined, and low to the ground, its body coated in glistening armor that shimmered with the same blue veins as the trees. 6 eyes locked onto Joel, pupils narrowing into slits, a growl rolling up from its throat like distant thunder. Joel drew his sidearm. But the beast was already circling, moving with a predatory patience that said it had hunted here all its life. The girl whimpered, pressing closer to Joel's back. He could feel her trembling. The cum crackled in his ear, the girl's voice weak and urgent. It knows me. It's always looking for me. He kept his weapon trained on the beast, calculating. Blaster charges were low. The drop had drained more energy than he'd thought. He didn't have enough firepower for a direct fight. Listen to me, he whispered to the girl, barely daring to look back. When I say run, you go. Don't look back. Just keep going until I catch up. Do you trust me? A pause. Her tiny hands slipped into his warm, trembling, desperate. I trust you, she said, voice barely audible. The creature lunged. Joel fired, aiming for the eyes. Blue light flashed as the bolt struck the beast's armored head, making it shriek and rear up. He shoved the girl to her feet, yelling, "Run!" They sprinted into the jungle, branches tearing at Joel's armor, bioluminescent bugs scattering around them like shattered stars. The ground shook with each step the creature took behind them, roaring in frustration as it crashed through the undergrowth. Joel pulled the girl along, feeling her falter, but she didn't let go. He spotted a narrow fissure in a stone outcrop, ahead a place too small for the beast to follow. With a final burst of strength, he yanked the girl inside, pressing her to the rock as the beast's claws raked the stone outside, sparks flying in the gloom. They held their breath. The creature roared, pacing outside, its glowing eyes visible through the crack. Minutes dragged on, Joel's heart pounding so loud he wondered if the thing could hear it. Finally, the beast lost interest, stalking off into the night. Joel slumped, exhaustion washing over him. The girl looked up, her alien eyes shining in the faint blue glow. "You saved me," she whispered. He managed a tired grin. "You're a lot braver than you look. What's your name?" She hesitated, as if searching for something forgotten. "Lyra," she said at last. "My name is Lyra." Joel nodded, letting the name settle into his memory. "Lyra, I'm Joel, and I meant what I said. You're not alone anymore." But as they rested in the dark, a new dread settled over Joel. If that thing was hunting Lyra, what else might be out here? And why was a child alone on a planet like this? Somewhere deeper in the forest, more lights flickered, signals alien, untranslatable. Joel felt the weight of 100 unseen eyes, and the first stirrings of a mystery far bigger than either of them. But one thing was already clear: leaving was no longer an option. He had promised Lyra she wasn't alone, and Joel Mercer was a man who kept his promises. Hours passed inside the cold stone fissure, the silence broken only by Joel's shallow breathing and the distant alien sounds of the jungle outside. The bioluminescent glow ebbed and flowed, painting ghostly patterns on the walls. Joel listened for the return of the beast, but heard only the occasional flutter of insect wings or the eerie creak of shifting trees. Lyra huddled close, knees drawn to her chest, her strange violet eyes fixed on Joel. He felt her gaze curious, haunted and impossibly old for someone so small. Joel kept his voice low. "How long have you been here, Lyra?" She was silent for a moment, her small hands tracing spirals on the stone floor. "A long time. Since the fire came from the sky, since I lost them." Her voice trembled on the last word. Joel's chest tightened. He saw flashes of his own past, the last time he'd seen his daughter before Earth's draft called him away. He pushed the ache down. "Do you remember what happened? Who did this to your family?" Lyra's eyes grew glassy, reflecting the jungle light. There was thunder and metal. "Ships like yours, but not the same. My mother said to hide. She sang me the song of sleep and said she'd come back when the light faded. But she never did. They never do." Joel swallowed hard. This was no ordinary child, and this world wasn't just another stop on a rescue mission gone wrong. Whatever had happened here, it was violent and recent. His comm unit flickered with faint static. Only tried to hail his ship again, but only garbled static, and an occasional word came through: "Evacuate." Hostile, unknown signals. Before it died completely. "We can't stay here forever," Joel said. "That thing out there might come back, and we're not safe if others are looking for you. Do you know anywhere safe? Somewhere your family used to go?" Lyra's expression brightened a little. "There's an old city, but the monsters don't go there. Only the singing lights and the cold ones." She hesitated. "Will you take me, Joel? Even if it's dangerous?" Joel looked at her, so fragile, yet so brave. He remembered her question, the words that had broken him open. "Will you be my father?" He still didn't know what he was to her or if he could ever fill that space, but he knew one thing for sure: he wasn't leaving her to face this world alone. "Yeah, kid.
I'll take you,"
he said quietly. "And I'm not letting anything happen to you. Not now. Not ever." They slipped from their hiding place just before dawn. The world outside looked change mist, curling through the trees, the sky a bruised purple streaked with gold. Lyra led the way, her bare feet silent on the moss, guiding Joel along paths he never would have seen alone. As they moved deeper into the jungle, Joel noticed strange markings on the trees' glyphs that shimmered with hidden light, like ancient warnings or coded messages. Lyra would touch each one as they passed, humming softly, and sometimes the symbols would pulse in response. They hadn't gone far before a new sound echoed through the forest, a mechanical whir, low and searching, like the churning of distant engines. Joel ducked behind a tree, pulling Lyra with him. Through the undergrowth he saw it, a patrol drone, black and menacing, drifting above the ground. Not one of his, and nothing like the ships he knew. Lyra squeezed Joel's hand, fear creeping into her voice. They're still looking. Cold ones? They want me because I'm the last. Joel's jaw clenched. It was all falling into place. Lyra wasn't just a lost child. She was a survivor, the last of her kind. And now someone or something was hunting her, determined not to let her escape. He watched as the drone paused, scanning the area with a sweep of blue light, then drifted away, deeper into the jungle. Joel's resolve hardened. No matter what it took, he was going to get Lyra to safety. He owed her that much, and maybe, just maybe, it would be enough to heal what was broken inside him too. But as they crept onward, neither of them noticed the second drone, silent and hidden, recording every move they made. Asterisk, they moved quickly, following the fading glow of the glyphs. Jungle thinned, the air growing colder as the sun struggled to pierce the canopy. Joel's nerves prickled with every step, always checking over his shoulder, expecting the monster or the drones to return at any moment. Lyra walked ahead, almost floating over the moss. For someone so young, she knew exactly where to step, how to disappear into shadows, how to move without a sound. Joel wondered again what kind of world had shaped her. What kind of parents had taught a child to survive like this? The old city appeared suddenly, rising out of the mists, like a broken crown. Once it must have been beautiful. Now its towers lay in jagged heaps, choked by roots and vines. Strange symbols ran across every surface, glimmering with their own faint light. This was home, Lyra whispered, voice hollow. Long ago, before the fire. Joel looked around, uneasy. Why don't the monsters come here? She hesitated, brushing her fingers across a crumbling wall. They're afraid. The old ones left things behind, songs that hurt them, lights that burn them. But not the cold ones. They don't feel fear. Joel studied the ruins, his hand instinctively resting on his sidearm. And what about you, Lyra? Are you afraid? She looked at him with those huge, sad eyes. Not when you're here. They crossed into what had once been a plaza, stepping over shattered tiles and the skeletons of machines. Joel noticed broken glass, scattered personal belonging, signs of a panicked flight. Lyra moved to a stone bench, sat down, and cradled a tiny metal locket she'd pulled from her pocket. My mother's, she said softly. It played her voice when I was afraid. But it's broken now. Joel crouched beside her, gently taking the locket. He fiddled with the fragile circuitry, surprised to find something almost familiar in its design. With a twist of a wire and a quick battery swap from his gear, the locket stuttered to life. A gentle, alien lullaby filled the air, strange and beautiful. A mother's voice singing in a language Joel couldn't understand, but the meaning was unmistakable. Lyra closed her eyes, tears streaming silently down her cheeks. Joel placed a hand on her shoulder. You're not alone, Lyra. I'm here. Yeah. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the ruins, metal on stone. Joel spun, pulling Lyra behind him. Figures moved between the shadows, their armor gleaming silver and blue. Eyes cold and lifeless, the cold ones. They advanced with terrifying silence, energy rifles raised. One barked something in a mechanical tongue, and the locket in Joel's hand began to vibrate wildly. Lyra grabbed his arm, desperate. They want it. If they get it, they'll find the rest, everyone who's left. Joel understood in a flash that locket wasn't just a keepsake. It was a key, maybe even a beacon. He backed away, searching for cover. The plaza offered little. Lyra tugged at his sleeve, pointing to a hidden stairway that led beneath the city. "Hurry," she pleaded as they raced for the stairs. Beams of energy scorched the stones around them. Joel shielded Lyra, every instinct focused on keeping her alive. Down the stairwell they fled, plunging into darkness as ancient doors slammed shut behind them, sealing them away from the cold. Hunting machines above, they collapsed at the bottom, panting, hearts racing. The darkness was thick and absolute. For the faint pulsating glow of the locket in Joel's hand, far above, the cold ones regrouped, scanning the ruins, calculating, and somewhere, deeper underground, another presence stirred older, watching. Waiting for the return of its last children, Joel tightened his grip on Lyra. "No matter what happens, I'm not letting go." But deep down, he wondered if he could keep that promise. The stairwell spiraled down into the earth, stone walls slick with ancient moss. Joel's flashlight beam bounced off the uneven steps, illuminating carvings and glyphs that shimmered and shifted when he looked directly at them. Lyra walked close at his side, her hand clutching the glowing Lakata lifeline in the blackness. The air was cold and thick, laced with a faint electric hum. Joel tried to keep track of their path, but the tunnels branched and looped, twisting in ways that made no sense. He realized with a chill that these passages weren't just old, they were alive, shifting and rearranging as if the city itself were watching them. "Are you sure you know where we're going?" he asked quietly. Lyra nodded, her eyes focused. "And strange, the song will guide us," my mother used to say. "The city remembers us, even when we forget ourselves." They pressed on, following the locket's pulse. At every intersection, Lyra would pause, touch the wall, and hum a note. The glyphs would shimmer, then a new passage would open, as if welcoming her home. Joel felt a pang of awe and sadness. This was her inheritance, an entire world crumbling. Memories etched in stone and song. Suddenly, the corridor widened into a great underground chamber. Crystal pillars reached from floor to ceiling, humming with blue energy. At the center sat a console. Ancient but faintly familiar its design, an uncanny blend of alien and human technology. Lyra stepped forward, fingers dancing across the controls. The chamber lit up, revealing images projected on the walls. Her people laughing and playing in the sunlight. Families gathered in celebration, ships rising into the sky, and the fire from above, the thunder, the monsters. The cold ones Joel watched, horrified as the projections shifted to reveal the invaders' machines, mercenaries, even a few faces, unmistakably human. The cold ones hadn't come alone. He turned to Lyra. "Your people. They trusted outsiders." She nodded, her voice small. "Thought they were friends. They promised help. Then they betrayed us. The cold ones came to take what was left."
Right, Charles?
Mind raced. This was bigger than a lost child or a monster in the woods. Someone, somewhere, wanted this world wiped clean or controlled. A sudden boom shook the chamber. The ceiling trembled, dust raining down. Joel raised his weapon, instincts on edge. "They're breaking through," he said. "We need another way out." Lyra searched the controls, panic on her face. "The city can help, but it needs a key. 2, not 1. Mother and child, I can't do it alone." Joel hesitated, then reached for her hand. "Show me what to do." Guided his fingers to the panel. As they touched it together, the console lit up with golden light. The chamber hummed, and the projections faded by a map of tunnels, secret doors, and escape routes. Another explosion shook the room. Joel glanced back. The cold ones were close. "We have to go now," he urged. But as the map finished displaying, another door slid open across the chamber. Silhouetted in the entrance stood a tall figure, armored and imposing. Eyes glowing, cold blue dot. Joel shielded Lyra. Heart pounding, the figure spoke, voice like metal scraping stone. "Give me the child and you can live. Resist, and this world dies with you." Joel looked at Lyra, saw her fear, and felt the old ache in his chest burn away, replaced by something fierce and unbreakable. "No," said, stepping forward, weapon raised. "You'll have to go through me. The figure laughed, dark and hollow. So be it. The last father falls tonight. The chamber's lights flickered, energy swirling, and Joel knew the fight for Lyron for the future of her world was about to begin. Asterisk, the chamber echoed with the Cold One's laughter, but Joel stood his ground. He felt the heat of the weapon trembling in his hand, his body tense, every sense stretched to the breaking point. Behind him, Lyra pressed close, her trust in him both a burden and a lifeline. The armored figure advanced, slow and deliberate. Weapon charged. Blue pulled, sparking off the enemy's shield. The figure barely flinched, stepping through the assault with mechanical confidence. With a wave of its hand, the door slammed shut, trapping them inside. "You can't win," the Cold One intoned, leveling its weapon. "The city is mine, the child is mine, her power will remake this world." Joel's mind raced. He couldn't fight this thing head-on, not for long. Scanned the chamber, the crystal pillars, the control panels still glowing, the map burning. In his memory, he needed time. He needed a distraction. "Lyra," he called, voice urgent but calm. "The song. Can you use it again? Wake the city? Do something?" Lyra's eyes widened, but she nodded, fingers flying across the console. As she hummed the old melody, the glyphs on the walls and pillars began to glow, the air thick with energy. The ground trembled as the city itself seemed to stir from a centuries-long sleep. The Cold One fired. A bolt of energy tearing into a pillar beside Joel, showering him with crystal shards. He dodged, rolling behind the console, drawing the enemies. Fire away from Lyra. The Cold One stalked after him, relentless. "I was like you once, Captain Mercer," the Cold One sneered. "Human, chosen to survive. But I embraced the machine, became perfect immortal. What will you do when she outgrows? You, when she learns the truth about your world?" Joel gritted his teeth. "I'll worry about that if we live through tonight." Lyra's song reached a crescendo. The chamber lit with blinding light, the glyphs pulsing like a heartbeat. From the floor, ancient defenses awakened, energy fields flaring, crystalline arms reaching for the Cold One. The figure roared, struggling against the city's grip, weapon crackling as it tried to break free. Joel took his chance, rushing forward, blaster drawn. He aimed for the exposed joint in the Cold One's armor and fired. The bolt struck home, circuit sizzled, and the Cold One staggered, howling in rage. "Eight!" With a final effort, it lashed out, striking Joel and sending him crashing into a pillar. Pain exploded in Joel's side. But he forced himself up, dragging himself toward Lyra. The Cold One stumbled, circuits shorting, but it wasn't finished. "You can't win," it growled, voice glitching. "No father can save her now." Joel crawled to Lyra, pulling her. Close as the city's defenses flickered, he pressed the locket into her hand. "Sing, Lyra, one more time. I'm here. I'm not leaving you." Her voice rose, trembling but strong, echoing through the chamber. The pillars pulsed, the energy fields growing brighter, louder. The city roared awake. The Cold One lunged, weapon raised, but the chamber itself responded. Energy surged from the walls, striking the figure and pinning it in place. The Cold One screamed, voice shifting between human and machine, before finally going silent, consumed by the city's wrath. For a moment, everything was still. Then, with a great shudder, the city's lights softened and the doors unlocked. Joel collapsed, exhausted, blood trickling from his mouth. Lyra knelt beside him, tears streaming down her face. "Don't go, please. You promised." He reached up, brushing a tear from her cheek. "I'm here, Lyra. I chose to stay. Forever, if you'll have me." The city hummed with gentle light, cradling them both. But even as the dust settled, somewhere far above, signals began to flash, distress calls, warnings, and the faint hope that maybe, just maybe, the nightmare was ending. The silence after the battle felt immense. Stretching through the ancient chamber and into Joel's bones, he lay on the cold floor, visions swimming in and out of focus, every inch of his body. Hurt, but Lyra's small hand anchored him to life. Above them, the city's defenses slowly dimmed. The glyphs faded to a soft gold, bathing everything in a warm, gentle light. Joel forced himself to sit up, blinking through pain. Lyra sat close, watching him with wide, anxious eyes. "You did it, Lyra?" Joel managed, voice rough but full of pride. "You saved us." She shook her head, tears shining on her cheeks. "I couldn't have. Not without you. The city only listened because you stayed. You chose me." Joel looked at the console, now dormant except for one glowing symbol. A pair of hands, human and alien, joined together. He reached out, taking Lyra's hand. "You're not alone. Not anymore. I promise, as long as I breathe, I'll be here. Your father, if you'll have me." A faint smile broke through her fear. "Will you teach me? About your world, your people?" He nodded, voice choked with emotion. "If you'll teach me about yours?" A deep, resonant tone filled the chamber. The ancient city began to shift again, only this time the changes felt peaceful, protective, as if the very stones recognized a new beginning. Passageways opened, revealing sunlight streaming down and the sounds of distant water. The city, sensing its last child had found a protector, was awakening for the future. Joel rose slowly, keeping Lyra close. As they made their way upward, past walls covered in the history of her people, he noticed some glyphs began to change. Scenes once filled with tragedy and loss now showed hope. Two figures walking together, human and alien, rebuilding side by side. When they emerged into the sunlight, Joel shielded his eyes. The jungle was alive with color and light, but now nothing felt threatening. Even the distant roars had faded, as if the land itself was at peace. Lyra turned to Joel, hope and wonder shining in her eyes. "What happens now?" Joel gazed out. Across the ruined city, then up at the endless sky. For the first time in years, he felt something like faith. "Now we build. We remember. And when they come, when anyone comes, we'll show them what it means to stay, to protect, to love. Together." From far above, unseen satellites relayed images of the awakening city to the rest of the galaxy. Somewhere, humans and aliens alike would see the proof. A new beginning was possible. Mercy and courage could change a world. Joel bent down, pulling Lyra into a gentle embrace. "Let's go home, kiddo. Our story's just getting started." The sun rose higher, bathing the city in gold, as a father and daughter, chosen not by blood, but by bravery and love, walked into a future that was, finally, beautifully, their own. The end.